we had about 4 months of solid hope. We really thought that Mateus Fernandes is going to be wearing a Man U jersey next season. We really thought that Mateus Fernandes is going to be a part of our desperate rebuild in our midfield. Mateus Fernandes to Spurs, here we go. 85 million. I don't even know what to think right now. I'm being so honest because this is a player that we can desperately need in our midfield rebuild. This is the type of player we see that can play beside Kobe Manu going into next season. But West Ham, man, as soon as we were linked, as soon as us and Arsenal were in the race to try and secure a deal for Mateus Fernandes, 80 and valued at 80 to 85 million. Is there like a current trend going on? Because every single time a top club seems to be interested in any player in this kind of market, as soon as that information is getting across, they're automatically valued at three figures. I don't know what this market has become, but 80 to 85 million for Mateus Fernandes, a player who let's all keep in mind did just get relegated with West Ham, being sold for 80 to 85 million. Fair play, man. I can't believe they actually got someone to agree to a kind of deal like that. And it's moments like that where in the past years we have been bamboozled in terms of overpaying for players, in terms of putting too much value on players. And we didn't do that this time. Even with Elliot Anderson, he was instantly already. We knew he was going to be a hundred over £100 million signing. And like with Elliot Anderson, I had him as my number one option. But as soon as I saw we were in a race with City, I knew that they're gonna desperately want him, and they're gonna be willing to pay that big money. And in situations like that, I'm thinking we need more midfielders. I don't think the price tag on Elliot Anderson will be worth it. Same reason I thought the price tag on Mateus Fernandes may not be worth it. But we do need a big money signing. A big money signing in this transfer window, the definition for that has completely changed. Because if we're getting 80 mil from Mateus Fernandes, then I can't even tell you what good midfielders in the market is nowadays. I can't even tell you how much Rodri deserves to be signed for. And it's just I think that's the frustration right now. I think it's because we've only signed Ederson so far, which don't get me wrong, well, I see the way Edison plays. I've seen his highlights. I've seen him play in full 90-minute games, and he is good. He is solid, but he is obviously not the big money midfielder signing that we thought we were going to get. All the fans know that there is a big money signing that is still on hold, that is still pending to be done. And I agree, Mateus Fernandes doesn't deserve to be that big money signing. But at the same time, we just let another target slip away. We are a big club. We should be using our power to try and negotiate better deals. But I just can't tell right now if this is just the state of the market because every single transfer, as soon, like, as soon as PSG, as soon as Liverpool, as soon as Arsenal, as soon as Man United, when they're in the conversation for, oh, these clubs have certain interests over certain players, instantly 100 million. That is the baseline. We can't be serious. Like it's just gotten to like a ridiculous point where do we need to accept that that's the money we're gonna have to spend to sign a really good player? That's why it's just a whole mixed feeling. It is very mixed because I did not want to let Mateus Fernandes slip away. I think he really would have been a good, perfect signing for us. But at the same time, that price tag, 85 million. Spurs. Only Spurs would pay for that. And I can't believe with the amount of signings that Spurs have already made, I did not expect them to come in and sweep out and cut our legs off from underneath and just go with the deal. I have to say, fair play to West Ham. They're gonna have to. They need to sell players. They need to make a certain amount of money. And they didn't. They've done that with Mateus Fernandes, 85 million. Wow, I can't believe it. And honestly, the fact that it's also Spurs, I think that's honestly what kind of stings it a little bit more, just because we know that he would prefer Man United over Spurs. But we've been linked to Mateus Fernandes for months now. We have not seen any progress because West Ham are very too stingy and they're not trying to move their price tag down. And we just let someone else sweep in, and they said, "Yeah, we'll take him for 85," and they agreed to the terms. And what can we do? We thought it was too expensive, which I do agree, but now we need to be more critical of future decisions because we just can't keep saying, "Oh, this person is too expensive," and letting those players slip away. And aside from Mateus Fernandes, we actually have been linked with a good amount of midfielders. We've been linked with Nmecha recently from Dortmund. He's a good player. Even in the World Cup, he's shown quality for Germany. And I'm really happy to see that we are linked with this player. But Dortmund already value him at 100 mil. And we've also been linked with Tchouaméni. With Tchouaméni, though, it is a little bit more complicated because with Tchouaméni, it depends on whether Madrid want to let him go. And I think if Tchouaméni is being let go by Madrid, if Jose Mourinho is coming in and he wants Enzo Fernandez, I think he certainly does want Enzo Fernandez. And if Enzo Fernandez is coming, either Camavinga or Tchouaméni, one of those guys are gone. I think I'm very certain that one of those players will leave. I think I'm not too sure. I can't really tell if Tchouaméni is more likely to leave or Camavinga is more likely to leave. But me personally, I think I'd rather, from a United standpoint, I think I'd rather take Tchouaméni over Camavinga. And if Tchouaméni does leave, I think before, there's speculations. There was like the only problem with Tchouaméni could be the fact that we're going to try and match his wages. And man, you said that no, we're not going to try and do that. That's our issue. So we don't know if Tchouaméni could be at the top of our list. But then a source recently came out and said, no, that's not the case. We are good to match his wages. It's now just whether or not Real Madrid are trying to let him go. And if they are, then we have ourselves that big money signing that I mentioned. The big money signing that we desperately need for this midfield rebuild. Because right now, only having signed Edison, I know there's still months left. There's still another entire month left. But just only having signed Edison, that is not enough. And we've let Elliot Anderson, I think personally my top midfielder choice when the season ended, that also slipped away. And that unfortunately we had less kind of things in our matter. We were racing with City and we knew that City would be down to pay that big money. And we knew that because we are in need of more midfielders, we don't know if you can afford to do that. Which honestly, fair enough. But now we know that the targets are getting, smaller and smaller, the target list. It's time that we have to act on something, or else we're just going to be left with not a proper midfield going into next season. No rebuild, no nothing, no project, no looking forward to any kind of improvements in the midfield area, especially with now that Ugarte is out as well. Unfortunately, he did suffer a big injury during the Uruguay game, and that does also affect our sales because we also need this player sales to help reinvest into this midfield rebuild. But not only are we going to have trouble selling Ugarte, but now we might not even be able to sell him at all. And we're going to have a midfielder that's just sitting out, injured. And that is not something we need right now. That's probably the last thing on our list. It is unfortunate. It is, you don't want to see any player kind of get injured and then they're just out for the entire season. But this was also a player that's on our list of top targets that need to be sold. And that does affect things now. That does affect how much money we are able to put into buying new players and signing new players. So there's just too much going on. I think there's just too much going on. This has honestly been one of the weirdest summer transfer windows that I have witnessed in a couple seasons, just because of how every single time a player is linked to some big club, they are being overpriced like crazy. And this is just because clubs are trying to gauge how far certain clubs are willing to go to pay for that player. For example, Yan Diomande, he is a good player. Don't get me wrong, he's a really good player, but he's also 19. And when Liverpool were first linked to him, they were about to pay three figures for him. Now that PSG is linked to him, and I think most likely he probably will choose PSG over Liverpool. That's definitely going to be a three-figure signing. So like I just can't tell if this is just this is just what we have to accept, or if we're able to wait it out a little longer, then we might be able to make more negotiations, better transfers. And it's just annoying because now all we have left is just a bit more than a month, and we've only signed one midfielder. We still not only do we need to focus on the midfield, but we still need other positions that we need to be signing for. For example, a left back, Lewis Hall. When we were linked with Lewis Hall, I was really happy because for one, I do not I think for Patrick Dorgu, if we want to consider him a left back, I think he'll work way better as a left winger. I think most, if not all of his good performances that we've seen from him was from a left winger perspective, from a left winger position. His first goal against Newcastle, the banger that he scored in the it was a one time banger. It was from a throw in, ball goes up in the air. Waltamata, I think he headers it up in the air, comes smashes it. That was him in his first time playing as a left winger. That is the first time that Ruben Amorim changed the system, put Dorgu left wing, and that he scored his very first goal. And since then, he's been scoring good goals. And I think his goal catalog so far, I think he's ended the season with like 5 goals. I think, keeping in mind that he was out injured for 3.5 months. He's good. He's good as a left winger. So that's why I'm more concerned about getting a left back. Because if we get a left back, especially Lewis Hall, then we can keep developing Dorgu as a left winger. So I think we still need a left back signing. I know Mazraoui can play a good left back, but at the same time, then we need a right back. We just need another new fullback. And I think that getting Lewis Hall as a left back is probably the best solution we have, considering the fact that we were already linked with them for a good amount of time. And once again, we know Newcastle. Newcastle, every single time we've been linked with their players, overvalued. This is just something that's been happening. This is not something that's new. So once again, just because he's a Newcastle player, we don't know up to what extent I can really trust that signing will happen. But I will be very happy if we can bring Lewis Hall into Man United. And otherwise, attackers, I think, ending the season, I think Michael Carrick kind of like teased the fact that he is looking for left wing signings. Right now, I honestly, everything, I believe that we don't need a left winger. I think Cunha and Dorgu are good options going into next season. Even though none of them are high profile left wingers, I think this is good. I think this is good enough, and we need to be smart about where the money is being invested. And I think putting that money into our midfield rebuild and potentially signing, if not one, if not two, fullbacks and a good backup goalkeeper. We don't need someone that's amazing, but we need someone who can, who is good enough to play instead of Sandy Lemons. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but I'm pretty sure Altai was going to be our starting goalkeeper. I knew we were going to get a goalkeeper regardless, but up until we got the new goalkeeper, Sandy Lemons, Altai was going to be our goalkeeper until that point. But for Grimsby, we're like, you know what? Let's play a backup goalkeeper, Andre Onana, and we know where that led us. So these two goalkeepers are still not good enough to be backup goalkeepers, in my opinion. Andre Onana, he's off loaned again, which I don't know why we just can't sell him. I don't understand why we have to loan him again. But once again, this player sales thing needs to get sorted out. We need to be better with the way we sell our players. We need to stop just going with the deals because we don't know if the deals are ever going to come back again, or if they're ever going to come back with better deals that works in our favor. So there's just too much to even kind of wrap your head around, because not only are we facing internal issues of selling and trying to negotiate better and find better signings, but also just the market. The market right now is in a weird position, and I don't know where the future is going to take us. But if we don't stop, if we need to accept the fact that we might have to overpay for at least one or two players. Hopefully not anything ridiculously crazy, but we need to accept that we're not going to be able to get certain players that are worth exactly the value. If not, we get them for less. but we need to accept the fact that we might have to be overpaying for some players, and one way or another, we desperately need a good midfield rebuild if you want to have any chance of competing for anything next season. So we will see where that future takes us. We'll see where this transfer window will take us, and hopefully we do end up making good signings.